Welcome to Pop Culture Paradox, theories no one asked for. Today we explore what Paris Hilton and Charles Dickens have in common: institutional abuse. Paris Hilton, long associated with glamour and celebrity, has emerged as an unexpected yet passionate advocate for the rights of children subjected to abuse in residential facilities. Her personal experiences have propelled her into the realm of activism, shedding light on the overlooked issue of abuse in children's homes and schools. Surprisingly, her story finds parallels with the work of Charles Dickens, a 19th century literary figure who also exposed systematic cruelty towards vulnerable populations. Both figures, though separated by centuries and mediums, have sought to give a voice to the voiceless and challenge societal apathy. Hilton's activism is deeply rooted in her own trauma. In her 2020 documentary, This is Paris, she revealed the physical and emotional abuse she endured at the Provo Canyon School, a residential treatment center for troubled youth in Utah. She described being forcibly restrained, isolated, and subjected to verbal degradation. Hilton's revelations ignited widespread conversations about the so-called troubled teen industry. Hilton's revelations ignited widespread conversations about the troubled teen industry, a network of school and treatment centers where reports of abuse are alarmingly common. But abuse in children's institutions didn't stop with Dickens in spite of his success.
In the mid-70s, Walter Mondale authored the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, or CAPTA, which was truly the first significant modern-day response to the issue of child maltreatment, abuse, and neglect. President Richard Nixon signed it into law, and this is where the funding of the troubled teen movement as we know it began. In 1974, Walter Mondale promoted the Child Abuse and Prevention Act, which, according to this PowerPoint, began feeding massive amounts of federal funding to states to set up programs to combat child abuse and neglect. From that came the Child Protective Services as we know it today. After the bill passed, Mondale himself expressed concerns that it could be misused. He worried that it could lead states to create a business in dealing with children. And was he ever right?
Breaking news, a Scranton jury. It convicted a former Pennsylvania judge in a so-called Kids for Cash scheme. Prosecutors say that Mark Chivarella accepted millions in bribes and kickbacks for putting juveniles into detention centers. Those for-profit detention centers were owned by friends. Chivarella was found guilty of racketeering and fraud, among other things. One distraught mom lashed out after that verdict. Her son committed suicide after being sent to a detention center for a minor offense.
My kid's not here! He's dead! Because of him! He ruined my life! I'd like him to go to hell and rot there forever! Do you remember my son? An all-star wrestler? He's gone! He shot himself in the heart! You scumbag!
There were attempts by survivors of troubled teen centers that occasionally met with some success, like this convention held by the survivors of institutional abuse held at the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California.
I know that all of you know that, if your parents put you in these places, they are told that because they signed a contract that they cannot take you out of this program. And that's very untrue.
I know there are a lot of people that think that because they've signed a contract that they can't take action to protect their children. That's a load of BS. As a lawyer, I can tell you, you cannot sign away your rights to sue someone for killing your child, for abusing your child. You just can't sign those rights away. People have inherent rights not to be abused. And no one can say it's okay to abuse me. It is never okay to abuse. It is never okay to murder. It is never okay to torture. And if you have any questions about legal action, consult a local attorney, call the police, call 911, call your district attorney, but don't think because you signed some contract that you can't stop people from abusing your children.
In the latter 20th century, there were attempts by survivors of troubled teen centers that occasionally met with some success. Financial limitations stymied efforts to hold the troubled teen industry accountable. In some cases, maybe it does take a celebrity to make a positive impact on popular culture. In 2021, Hilton took her advocacy to the legislative level, testifying before the Utah State Legislature in support of reforms for those facilities. She played a crucial role in the passage of Senate Bill 127, which increases oversight of treatment centers in Utah. Hilton's efforts didn't stop there. She has continued to champion similar reforms at the federal level, urging lawmakers to establish national standards for the treatment of youth in such facilities. The plight of abused and neglected children is not new, and Charles Dickens, the literary giant of the Victorian era, made it a central theme in his works. Dickens, like Hilton, was shaped by personal experiences. Born into a financially unstable family, he was sent to work in a blacking factory at the age of 12, enduring harsh conditions and witnessing the struggles of impoverished children. His novels, including Oliver Twist and David Copperfield, vividly depicted the abuse and exploitation of children in workhouses and other institutions meant to help the vulnerable. Through his writing, Dickens exposed the hypocrisy and cruelty of Victorian society, pushing readers to confront the reality of child labor and institutional neglect. His work contributed to growing social awareness that eventually led to social reforms, such as the Factory Acts, which improved labor conditions for children. While Hilton and Dickens came from vastly different worlds, their work shares striking similarities. Both used their personal trauma as a catalyst for advocacy, transforming their pain into a platform of change. Dickens wielded his pen to tell the stories of fictional children whose suffering mirrored the reality of his time, while Hilton has used her platform as a celebrity and influencer to amplify the voices of real-life survivors. Both figures highlight the systematic nature of abuse. In both cases, their efforts have drawn attention to the need for systematic reform and greater accountability. One key difference between Hilton and Dickens lies in the tools they used to drive change. Dickens relied on the written word, writing compelling narratives that stirred public emotions and inspired action. Hilton, on the other hand, has leveraged the reach of modern media, social platforms, documentaries, and legislative hearings to mobilize support for her cause. Her ability to transform public perception of her as a socialite into that of a serious advocate demonstrates the evolving nature of advocacy in the digital age. Paris Hilton's activism for survivors of abuse in children's homes and Charles Dickens' literary crusade against institutional cruelty are testaments to the enduring power of personal storytelling and sparking social change. While their methods and contexts differ, their shared commitment to justice underscores the timeless importance of giving a voice to the marginalized. In an era when celebrity influence can often be seen as superficial, Hilton's work serves as a reminder that advocacy, whether through literature or legislation, has the power to illuminate hidden injustices and inspire reform and affect the popular culture.
Thank you for watching Pop Culture Paradox. And if you liked what you see, please subscribe to this channel and like this video and come back for more.